Hey y'all, I'm Michael. I'm an alumni of DigitalCrafts UX Design Bootcamp program, and so I wanted to hop on today and give you a review and tell you about why I decided to do a bootcamp and how I landed on DigitalCrafts and what life's been like since. So I come from a pretty varied work history and background. I spent about a decade as a conductor with the railroad. I've had construction jobs, worked in restaurants. I was a certified drone pilot. So I've done a little bit of everything, which is great because I've had a ton of work experience, but nothing was ever that fulfilling. And I was really getting the itch to try to find some remote opportunities, and my skills at the time just didn't really cater to that. So I really wanted to investigate boot camps, and it just seemed like a good alternative to going back to school for a 4-year degree. And so about 3 years ago, actually, I learned of DigitalCrafts. I was looking into web development and quickly learned that coding and programming was not exactly my cup of tea. And so I tabled that for a while, and then over the last year and a half, just started getting more exposure to user design or user experience. And like most people, there's apps and websites that frustrate me beyond belief. And so I said, this is pretty interesting. I wonder if I can learn how to be able to tweak these things or make an impact on these products that we use every day. And so that led me to UX, and specifically DigitalCrafts, as they were launching their first cohort last fall. And so I joined that, started in September, and we wrapped up late January of this year. And so since then, I landed a job as a client success team member for a business management software company. So while my title isn't quote UX designer or product designer, there's a lot of overlap in terms of my day-to-day as I'm interacting with people and talking with clients about their frustrations and issues they're having with our software, and helping them navigate that while also being able to make recommendations to the developers of how we can improve this and reduce these frustrations that our people are using, which you'll quickly learn if you don't know yet. Talking to your users is what UX is all about, finding out their true pain points, because it's not as much about your opinions on how a button should look or how you should be able to navigate a website. It's 100% about our end users and catering to them. So oftentimes when you land in these companies, you need to be the voice of the users. So it requires doing a lot of research and getting out there and talking to them. And so that was probably the biggest surprise that I just didn't really fully grasp about UX going into the program last fall, was just how important that was. But that was really fun to learn. It drives everything we do. I think the most fun thing I did during the program was learning how to prototype in Figma. So that's just a software where you can design and then turn those designs into interactive prototypes where you can mock up on a laptop screen or a phone screen. So that's really fun when you can sit there and sketch something out on paper or your favorite digital means, and then turn it into something that can actually be interacted with. And then you're able to share that with people to try. So user testing, you can develop your prototype, ship it out to folks, get their feedback. It's just really, really, really fun. I think one of the biggest hurdles is just learning how to work with however many classmates you have. In our case, it was a small cohort. There was 5 of us, but in a creative field like UX, there's a lot of differing opinions and thoughts on how things should flow and function. And so, learning how to navigate those conversations, and ultimately, you have to settle on a decision and a path and keep everyone working. It takes a little bit of practice and getting used to if you've never had to work in a situation like that. But that's great because it makes everyone better, and you learn that everyone has their own unique strengths, and it's really nice when you can bring all of those skills together and put out a great product for your users. The program definitely helped equip me with more skills, more tangible skills, to be able to take to an employer and say, I have all this other life experience and work experience, almost 2 decades worth, but now I have these new skills that I can bring to your company. So really just wanted to leave any prospective students or anyone else, maybe who comes from a similar background or who's considering a boot camp, and specifically DigitalCrafts, I would just encourage you to do all of your homework on the company and the program, and try to find out as much as you can. Really make sure you know that you understand what UX is about, and make sure that this is a good fit. Make sure that you're going to have support not just during the cohort or your program, but before and after. I'll say I had both of those, which was great. They were good about giving us some work to do, pre-course work before the cohort started. The support during the cohort was great. And then after, like I said, they held a virtual career fair, which led to some really good opportunities. And, I think it's really important just to remember to ask for help whenever you need it, as much as you need it, because it's daunting. It's 30 to 35, maybe 40 hours a week of live camera time, and then you're going to have a lot of project time or homework time after. And so if you need help with the content, or you have something going on in your personal life, you just have to voice those opinions, or voice what you need. I remember there was one day right near the end of our cohort, we were working on a big group project, like for the entire class. And there was one day I was just really sick and had to, I couldn't attend class that day. And not only was my teacher supportive, or our instructor, but my classmates were great as well. It left them having to shoulder a little bit more load while I couldn't be there that day, but that was what I needed. I needed to spend a whole day laying in bed so that I could recover and be ready to finish the project and finish the course. So anyway, just a little anecdote, but yeah, make sure you ask for help, make sure you do your research, and best of luck.